Happy Saturday. Glad that you guys could all tune in. It's a beautiful day in the Bay Area, so maybe you're tuning in from your phone outside. I hope so, at least. You could put this in to your headphones, be walking around, get some sunshine. I wanted to come to you as soon as possible with this live today because everybody seemed really interested following my post-practice quick video report in how much of a back and forth battle this was at practice. And this was really exciting to me on the field today because as we get further and further into camp, I believe that we're 9 practices in now, we get stuff that's closer to a game simulation. In fact, I could use the same text title as I did on the show yesterday, Real Football. If I didn't delete it, I must have deleted it yesterday. How embarrassing. Anyway, move the ball situations, real football. That's what we saw today. We saw a ton of it today. 28 minutes worth, including a 2-minute drill at the end of practice. And I've been able to calculate Trey Lance's stats and move the ball so far. 14 of 20, 1 pick, 1 touchdown today to finish practice to Ray McLeod. Those of you who didn't see the instant reaction from the practice field, make sure you go and watch that when you have a second. But the 49ers got the ball at their own 35-yard line, minute 15 to go. 1 timeout. Trey Lance was just coming off a pick 6. The drive before, he had thrown a pick 6 to Jimmie Ward. It was ugly. He bounced back from it, moved the 49ers down the field in 8 plays. Should have gotten the spike down, didn't get the spike down, put all the pressure on himself with about 6 seconds to go, shuffled away from the pressure, kind of stepped up in the pocket, moved to his left at the same time, just a little bit of a diagonal movement, and then threw back across to the right to find Ray McLeod for the touchdown to finish practice. So Lance so far and moved the ball is 14 of 20, an interception and a touchdown. For those of you who need the difference between move the ball and regular practice splits, well, normally as training camp builds, you'll see the first, 5, 6 practices, you'll see exclusively scripted stuff. And that means that everybody knows what they're going to run on the offensive end, obviously, before practice starts. And quarterbacks for the first team are only going to be in there for about 3 plays. And then they rotate out with the second team and then the third team. And it just kind of goes through an entire install like that. So teams spend about a week installing their offense. And then you'll start to see them filter in some move the ball action, which is not scripted, which is going to be reliant on down and distance. They're actually going to, instead of just staying at the 30-yard line, they're going to move down the field as they pick up yardage. So it approximates real football much more accurately, and that's where the 49ers are now. That's where they were with this practice on Saturday. Again, almost 30 minutes of move the ball action, and it ended with Trey Lance throwing a touchdown pass to Ray McLeod as the clock read 0. It was not only move the ball, it was red zone. This was high intensity, preserve the clock, red zone offense, and Trey Lance definitely looked like he was in good command there at the end. And that's the main theme of this video because I think that Trey has made substantial progress from last season. Those of you who followed along last season, I tracked this in 2021 as well. We ran into Trey Lance's main weakness once the 49ers moved into the move the ball portion of training camp. And for that, I have to share the screen. Let's take a look at where last year's performance was relative to this year's performance. Up on the screen, that's my page up on The Athletic. We'll go through some articles here in a little bit that you can check out. But I would rather go to 49ers QBs at 2022 training camp. All right, here's the log. This is from this season, 2022 training camp, but there's a link to 2021, which is going to be handy for us because we could compare. And, charting this, I was so happy that I charted this last year between Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, not because they were competing, because they weren't really competing last year. It was Garoppolo's job, but Lance was developing. But we saw where exactly Lance could improve most in the course of his development. And Trey Lance was impressing a lot over the first few days of camp in 2021. As I look back through the log, he had day 5 where he was 8 of 12. He had a day that he was 6 of 10 here early on. I mean, the completion percentage was good. It was better than it was this year. He's operating against the 2s, not against the 1s. But there were some wow moments early in practice for Trey Lance. I still remember him throwing deep to Trent Sherfield. He would later do that in the game against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1 of the preseason. And, a lot of people who weren't that well informed thought that, this must mean that Trey Lance is knocking on the door of the starting job. And no, that wasn't the case. This was scripted stuff against the 2s. And we later learned very clearly, those who weren't paying attention learned very clearly that it wasn't the case once the 49ers moved to move the ball. Once they moved to move the ball, Trey Lance started struggling. And ultimately, we saw a disjointed offense with Trey Lance, and we saw a cohesive offense with Jimmy Garoppolo in last season's training camp, to the point where I kept track of the splits. Garoppolo completed over 68% of his passes for the first team and move the ball. Trey Lance was 20 points lower, 48.6%. He was 34 of 70. He didn't throw any picks in the move the ball periods last year, but he didn't really move the chains either. The offense didn't look like it was flowing. And we understood that this was going to take a while for Trey Lance to situationally be able to adapt and grasp the NFL level of play, right? There's a big difference between what Kyle Shanahan can script for you and, what you can actually adapt to on the fly when you're not preparing for it for several hours before practice. You don't know exactly what Kyle's going to call based on down and distance if you don't know the down and distance. So anyway, 48% last year for Trey Lance in move the ball. Fast forward to this season, Trey Lance has opened 14 of 20, which is 70% in these move the ball periods. So the sample size still isn't huge, but I have to say that 70% is a whole lot better than 48%. And numbers aren't everything, obviously. The eye test, the tape, all of this probably matters a little bit more because the numbers aren't even that advanced here in training camp. It's just a simple completion percentage. But the numbers agree with what's actually going on the field. And I can tell you with my own set of eyes what's going on the field. Trey Lance looks a whole lot more comfortable in year 2 than he did in year 1 as far as managing the offense, having control over the proceedings on the field. I mean, I'll still remember for the rest of my life, I'll still remember the first really good quarterback that I covered, and that was Andrew Luck back when I covered Stanford. They played the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma State in January of 2012. So this was the end of the 2011 season. So it was Andrew Luck's final game in a Stanford uniform. Now, Stanford lost this game, but it definitely wasn't Andrew Luck's fault. He went 27 of 31, and those 4 incompletions, one was a tip interception, so it was off his receiver's hands and was picked off. Wasn't his fault. Another 3 were throwaways, so those were intentional. So it was essentially a perfect game of quarterbacking that I saw Andrew Luck make against the Oklahoma State Cowboys at the Fiesta Bowl, which was actually in the Arizona Cardinal Stadium. It was in Glendale. I think back then it was still called the University of Phoenix Stadium, right? I think it's State Farm Stadium now. It would be the future home of the San Francisco 49ers in 2022. Funny trivia there. Didn't expect that back in 2012. But anyway, it was, I thought, a perfect game of quarterbacking from Andrew Luck. I still remember it. I'm up in the press box. I'm watching. And the command that Andrew Luck had over the proceedings was absolutely phenomenal. It obviously was somebody who would become a good pro quarterback, but he was already that at the college level. And every single time that he handled the ball, you just knew that he was in full control of what was going on. There was an aura that radiated from that quarterback position from number 12 in that game. And ever since then, that's just been imprinted on my mind, because whenever I've seen a great quarterback since then, whether it be Rodgers when he's in control of a game, Brady, I mean, you could go through all the top names in the game. And most of these guys I have seen in person, you could tell in person more than you can on TV when a guy has that command of the proceedings. It's just a sense of spatial awareness. It's a sense of confidence, of leadership. It's a lot of not easily pegged things that you can identify just by feel, by looking at the guy, right? So that's what we look for from quarterbacks when we say, does he have the moxie? Does he have the field general command? And that's what Trey Lance didn't have last year, and you wouldn't expect him to have it last year during training camp once the move the ball periods began. He wasn't really sure where the first down markers were. He didn't kind of sense it, right? You easily know it's 3rd and 7 when you step up to the line of scrimmage. But based on how fast the NFL moves, if you've just been used to FCS level football, once everything starts spinning, you're trying to get the play in your head. That sense of field awareness combined with where's the pass rush coming from, that's going to be hard to pick up. Lance just didn't have it during the move the ball periods last year. It was obvious. The 48% completion percentage speaks to that. So does the fact that the 49ers went 3 and out a lot, and he was working against the second team defense. Well, I can say now, after I've seen 3 practices of move the ball periods, including today's very long session, that Trey Lance has made massive strides in terms of his game awareness, in terms of that field general's presence. And the evidence is in the move the ball periods. 14 of 20, a pick, and a touchdown. Now, by no means has Trey Lance been perfect today. He wasn't perfect. And move the ball, in fact, that's when he threw the ugly interception to Jimmie Ward. It was 3rd down and maybe 6 or 7. Elijah Mitchell was out in the flat. He was only about 5 yards downfield, so the throw was one that you probably don't want to make anyway in that situation, even if Elijah Mitchell, even if you could get it past the defender, because Mitchell didn't have a lot of room to turn upfield and run. You got to get that throw past the sticks. Trey Lance went underneath the sticks. There was no pressure, so there was, no compelling reason to go for more of the check down type throw anyway. And Jimmie Ward jumped the pattern, returned it for a touchdown. So obviously not good. Mistake for Trey Lance. We get it. But he bounced right back from that. 5 of 6, the next drive, 2-minute drill, moved the 49ers all the way to the end zone, and they won the game. Kyle Shanahan put a score up on the scoreboard. It was 24-20 when the offense got the ball, and they obviously won that one, either 26-20 or either 26-24 or 27-24, depending on whether or not you would think they kicked the extra point. But the point is that Trey Lance, while he's not perfect right now, his situational command has improved immensely over the past year. And that, to me, that feel is on pure display at practice. And I'm trying to explain it to you as best I can, because you can watch as many highlight videos as you want. I'm going to post a practice reel right now so you can watch some of the work that the 49ers did during this session. But you can't get that feel unless you're there, I think. And that's why I encourage all of you, when you do have a chance to head out to one of these training camp practices, obviously try to get out to a game whenever you can, because you could really feel situational commandness. You could really feel situational command when you see a quarterback in person. And I thought that Trey Lance, that final 2-minute drill, had some situational command that I just didn't see last year. Now, the spike that he should have had, I mentioned this at the top of the show, that's something that he'll have to improve. There are 14 seconds to go. Now, this is like nitpicking 2-minute drill stuff, but it's going to loom large once the season starts, because I would figure the 49ers are going to be in some close games. That's just how the NFL works. Clock was running. 14 seconds remained. Lance had a chance to just get up there, spike the football. 14 seconds would have still remained. 14 seconds, probably enough for 3 plays. 2 for sure, right? But he didn't spike it, and instead he burned about 8 seconds. And then he just threw a quick out to George Kittle, who gained at most 3 or 4 yards. And then the 49ers only had 6 seconds for the final play, only 1 play. So even though Lance made that play work by throwing the Ray McCloud for the touchdown, it was still a situation where you're like, oh God, like this is a spot where he probably should spike the ball, because you want 3 chances, or at least 2 instead of 1. But that's what practice is for. And to be honest, I thought that the positives outweighed the negatives for Trey Lance today big time, because he bounced back from that pick 6. And guess what? These practices are now competitive. We talked about the defense overrunning the offense for the first week or so. Then we talked about the offense striking back yesterday on Friday. Well, on Saturday, I thought it was heavyweight fight, blow for blow, back and forth. Offense landing a punch, defense landing a punch, offense landing the final punch. And that's exactly the way that Kyle Shanahan wants to see it at this point of training camp, because we're in the dog days. You got to fight through the dog days. And if only the offense is making plays, or only the defense is making plays, you may have an imbalanced football team. But I think we're seeing more and more balance, not just from Trey Lance, but because of that, from the whole entire 49ers team in general. And I thought that was impressive today during practice. All right, here's some never-before-seen footage from practice today. I'm sharing it on the show first. This is Trey Lance and Nate Sudfeld, and obviously Brock Purdy, number 14, working before team drills today. Obviously, we can't have cameras on during team drills, so this is just an uninterrupted piece of footage. This is going to be I don't know, about 3 minutes long or so, where we can watch Trey Lance's demeanor out on that practice field. We could see him working with the 49ers coaches and his receivers. We can see some good passes, some short game work, and even one miscommunication, which ended up being a bad pass that almost took out a few people on the sideline. That's not coming up until the end of the video. But as we watch, we'll talk about some of the things that I just covered and maybe break them down into a little bit more detail. Lance, obviously 14 of 20 in the move the ball period. There's Brandon Ayuk. Nice grab. Ayuk, by the way, he's got sticky hands, and Ayuk is a star. Deebo Samuel did this last year. He showed up to training camp, wowed everybody. Everybody was calling him skinny Deebo around the facility last year just because of how good of shape he was in. And obviously he parlayed that into a record-breaking season, got paid a lot of money. Brandon Ayuk, I wouldn't say that he's skinny or fat or anything. I mean, he looks lean and strong, but Brandon Ayuk looks good. That's the main thing. Here's Marcus Johnson. He's in the blue non-contact jersey, working out of the concussion protocol after taking that hit from Fred Warner that sparked the brawl. But Brandon Ayuk just looks like a stud. The second team defense can't cover him because the receivers rotate through the first and second team defenses. It's a joke whenever the second team defense is out there. And, he's winning more often than not when it's the first team defense. And some epic battles between Ayuk and Charvarius Ward. They call him Mooney, new 49ers cornerback so far in training camp. So here we go. We're still looking at the 49ers quarterbacks working with their past game targets before the team drill started at practice today. Sometimes I just cut up some highlights of throws, but sometimes I feel it's necessary to just let the camera roll, give you guys a peek into 49ers practice. And this is that peek into 49ers practice as you see Trey Lance and Nate Sudfeld throw the football. That to the tight end position. That was Troy Fumagalli, big 6'6" tight end that's competing for a spot on this 49ers roster. Here's Brock Purdy, little pump fake. Brock Purdy with the completion to Tanner Hudson, another tight end. He might have the best hands on the 49ers team. Definitely out of the tight end room. Tanner Hudson, this guy can catch. Circus catches all the time in Tampa Bay. Had a great practice the other day with a few nice catches downfield. So Hudson is a player to look out for. Although I think that last tight end spot right now, I think Tyler Kroft might be in the driver's seat for it. Veteran, played for Cincinnati and for the Jets. And obviously with the Jets last year, he probably was able to pick up a lot of the 49ers system since that coaching staff obviously has some overlap. There's Lance to Ayuk on the near side. Another look at Brandon Ayuk, who just is playing with such confidence. You can just see the way that he carries himself on the football field. Now, pretty soon we're going to see the missed pass that I was talking about. That's Danny Gray, Sudfeld to Danny Gray. Danny Gray, by the way, his speed continues to shine. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Here's Trey, and there's the miss. Oop. And that one almost took me out. I got out. I didn't have to get out of the way. It was just to my left. It almost took out a couple other people on the sideline. Let's see exactly what happened there. Why don't we rewind? Yeah, I think that it looks like a miscommunication. That's Keyshawn Johnson, by the way, former Cardinals receiver. Shout out to Fresno State and Keyshawn Johnson. Not related to the other Keyshawn Johnson. Spells his name differently. I'm going to pause this. Here comes the throw. Keyshawn Johnson not really in the spot where that ball's going to. So I'm not going to blame either one of these guys because I don't know whose fault it was. But it was just interesting because that ball sailed there a little bit. They're like, look out, heads up on the sideline. Everybody ended up being okay. It skipped into the crowd, that's for sure. Almost knocked like a pizza off this lady's plate in the VIP section. But everything ended up being fine. Now Brock Purdy to Marcus Johnson. Good job. Throw is on the money. So that's the look into practice today. I'll post that on the channel after I'm done with this video, so you can go ahead and access that video whenever you want. My goal is just to, give you guys my front row seat, so you have a look at what's going on in these practices, and hopefully that helps do it for you. So anyway, Trey Lance, move the ball session, good. 70% completion percentage is a lot better than 48%. And hey, that's why the title of this video is what it is. Trey Lance's offensive command is showing major signs of progress at 49ers practice. And I think it's as simple as that. The pick six was bad, but the overall situational command was on display. And it was a dramatic practice, a dramatic finish with no time there left on the clock. So good for Trey Lance to be able to finish on such a good note during his first red zone 2-minute drill, not red zone, I guess it was from the 15 or the 20, but it was a 2-minute drill during his first clutch 2-minute drill situation as the 49ers QB1 in practice. He had a couple of those last year, and they definitely did not go as well. And remember, this was against the first team defense that was looking so good for the 49ers throughout the first part of camp. All right, I have a few other notes from practice today. Ty Davis-Price, 49ers third-round pick, running back. This guy is a load. He weighs over 220 pounds, and you could tell that he's just going to be tough to bring down. Now, the issue is that the 49ers don't tackle live to the ground during training camp practices. So during these training camp practices, there's contact, but you're not dragging the guy to the ground, which means that running backs don't have a great chance to shine as far as their actual running skills go. Maybe in pass protection, they can get the job done. And I know Davis-Price can pass pro. I mean, he did it at LSU. He's doing it here at 49ers camp. But I want to know what kind of runner he's going to be. Because listen, in the NFL these days, defenses have downsized. The linebackers have gotten smaller. The DBs have worked on shiftiness more than they have on, run support. So the 49ers are trying to zag while the rest of the league zigs. If the league is getting smaller defensively, Kyle Shanahan wants bigger backs so he could run these guys over. And he has bigger backs this year. And the headlining example is Ty Davis-Price, who's a 220-plus pound bell cow. And he is popping pads out there. He had a couple nice runs today, and the pads pop. Now, the thing is, they can't bring him to the ground, so I don't know exactly how good he is. And for this reason, I cannot wait until the first preseason game on Friday, 49ers against the Green Bay Packers, because finally we'll see Ty Davis-Price and the 49ers under other running backs in a live tackling situation. And at that moment, we're going to figure out, okay, Ty Davis-Price, does he have it as far as yards after contact, or does he not have it as far as yards after contact at the NFL level? So that's something that I absolutely will be tracking next Friday. Danny Gray, his speed continues to shine. This is another third-round pick. So I guess we're starting out talking about the third-round picks in this notes section. Danny Gray, okay, let me put it this way. Kadar Hallman, 49ers reserve cornerback, is not slow. Toledo's got a lot of fast guys that they've produced over the past few years. One of those is Samuel Womack, 49ers fifth-round pick. He's going to be a nickelback for the 49ers. He's a good player. Samuel Womack, I mean, he's not going to start over Darqueze Dennard, at least to start this season, but he's going to develop under Dennard for that nickelback spot, and he is the future at that position. But Samuel Womack, who runs a 4.4, he was in the same defensive backfield at Toledo as Kadar Hallman, who runs a 4.38, so essentially a 4.4, maybe a little bit faster than that. So Hallman is not slow either. Toledo knows how to develop speed. Well, in one-on-ones today, Danny Gray just blasted by Kadar Hallman. And Trey Lance found him on the deep pattern, touchdown. Danny Gray ran underneath it. It was good. Danny Gray also got behind the second-team defense a little bit later, but Brock Purdy overthrew him. Basically, nobody's able to stay in front of Danny Gray. And that's insanely good news for the 49ers, because Kyle Shanahan drafted Danny Gray out of SMU in the third round to add a dimension to this offense that it really hasn't had since Marquise Goodwin was here. And Gray's a better football player than Marquise Goodwin, who was simply a track star, right? He was a sprinter. Danny Gray, though, I mean, this guy can catch intermediate routes. This guy's got good hands. Everything about him screams he's going to be a contributor to the 2022 49ers. But when I saw him just cook Kadar Hallman today, and knowing that Hallman can move, my jaw dropped. He had a couple strides on him, and that throw was waiting there for him from Trey Lance. That was impressive stuff. So Danny Gray continues to shine, and this is going to help the 49ers offense in many ways. Even if they don't go deep every time to him, it's going to cause the safeties to be on their heels a little bit more often, and that opens up the underneath stuff that's so important to this 49ers offense. Jason Poe, another rookie. This guy's a legit contender. Again, I talk about him a lot. Shortest O-lineman in the league, right? Well, doesn't matter. This guy is stonewalling people in one-on-one drills in pass protection. A lot of the 49ers defensive tackles, including Kevin Givens, who's going to make this football team, didn't win against Jason Poe today. So this is getting really intriguing. Will the 49ers have a 53-man roster spot for him as an offensive lineman? Or maybe will they try to sneak him through as a fullback, tight end, X-factor, versatile kind of guy? I don't know. But he's staying in the building because he's impressed the 49ers enough after working out with Trent Williams. I mean, if you can fly in with Trent Williams on his private jet, you must have something going for you. And Williams texted Jason Poe this offseason and said, I see something in you. I see potential in you. And it wasn't like that Pinocchio commercial, right? A few years back where Pinocchio's given a motivational speech, to a room full of really bland looking people. And he goes, when I look around this room, all I see is potential. And then he points at different people and he says, you have potential, you have potential. And every single time that Pinocchio says, you have potential, his nose grows longer, right? Because he's lying, because the guy doesn't actually have potential. Well, Trent Williams told Jason Poe, when I look at you, I see potential, and his nose didn't grow any longer. Trent Williams actually believes that Jason Poe has potential. And if you watch these practices and how Jason Poe is able to handle himself against, much taller, longer defensive linemen, defensive tackles, I think you'll share Trent Williams' appraisal of the situation. He is impressive. And again, I've talked about Jason Poe before. I've made entire dedicated videos and articles about him on The Athletic. This guy could potentially deliver in a versatile role for Kyle Shanahan because he was a fullback in community college. He did catch passes on his tape to try to impress NFL teams. He could really move. He's exceptional, and he's built like a bowling ball. So the 49ers certainly love that ability to block out in space. Kerry Hyder Jr., welcome back to him, by the way. He was with the 49ers, led them in sacks, 8.5 sacks in 2020. This guy, Kerry Hyder is a versatile defensive lineman. He was with the Seahawks in 2021, but he's back with the 49ers here in 2022. And that defensive line loves him because he could play inside, outside, wherever. And today, Kyle Shanahan compared Kerry Hyder to Ronald Blair. And I thought, oh, what a genius comparison. How have I not thought of this before Kyle Shanahan? I was a little upset with myself. But Ronnie Blair would win everywhere. Robert Saleh would say, we like Ronnie Blair because he wins. You line up inside, you line up outside, it's good. If you like winning, you like Ronnie Blair. Well, if you like winning, you probably like Kerry Hyder as well because he can play inside. He played 50-50 in 2019 for Dallas. Then in 2020 for the 49ers, he was like 90-10 outside versus inside, led the 49ers in sacks. Heads over to Seattle last year, plays mainly on the interior at defensive tackle for the Seahawks. And now the 49ers are going to ask him to do both. And pieces like this, that's what defines a Chris Kocurek offensive line. Back to Trey Lance. Today he ran a few times, and I thought he timed the runs well. In the 2-minute drill especially, he got outside on one, got out of bounds, which was key to stopping the clock. And I still think that there's, obviously some roughness with Trey Lance's short game. The mechanical inconsistency is still there to where he's missing some of these passes that, need to be on the money that are only about 5 yards downfield. So those can detonate drives, and that's not good. So until Trey Lance becomes fully consistent with that short game, his legs are going to be more critical than ever. Now, he can't rely on his legs, though, and allow the development of the mechanics for the short passing game to be forgotten. That's where the tricky balance comes in. I tell this story a lot, but Steve Young, in his early years, they would tie his legs together in the pocket to force him to deliver from the pocket, and that's going to be necessary for Trey Lance to hammer home. The good news for him, though, is that he already has a good pocket passing background as far as what he learned in college and what he's already learning from Kyle Shanahan. It's not about the I think mental aspect as much it is about the mechanical aspect of the game. So the 49ers are just going to drill Trey Lance, and then they're going to have to give him reps in games so that way his old bad habits don't revert all too often, because you can drill as much as you want in the offseason. But if you don't combine that with a carryover into games, you're going to revert. Once the bullets start flying, you're going to revert to bad habits. So we might see him revert to a couple bad habits actually once, live action starts during this regular season. But that's A, why the preseason is so important for Trey Lance this year. I think he's going to get some snaps there. And B, that's why runway time is so important. That's why it's good news that the 49ers have a great secondary and that their defense looks strong and that Brian Schneider, who seems to be running the hell out of the special teams unit in a good way. He looks in charge out there, new special teams coordinator. That's why it's so important that defense and special teams can give Trey Lance runway to iron out some of these mechanical issues, because there will be some, but there's also a ton of potential with Trey Lance. And we saw a lot of that on display today in that successful 2-minute drill. News today, yesterday I mentioned the 49ers signed Willie Snead, veteran wide receiver who worked under Kyle Shanahan, actually breaking into the league with Cleveland in the 2014 offseason. Today they signed longtime veteran, 9-year veteran, offensive tackle Jordan Mills. He was out on the practice field, worked with the third team at right tackle. This is a good signing for the 49ers for camp purposes at the very least, because Mills will allow Colton McKivitz and then Jalen Moore, once Jalen Moore returns from his leg strain, to not have to be filling in for McGlinchey and Trent Williams all the time at tackle. And that will allow McKivitz and Moore to get more reps at guard. And more reps at guard means that they can compete with Spencer Burford at right guard. Now, Burford's been a great story so far, right? The rookie who's taken every single first-team rep at right guard. That's all great, fine and dandy for the 49ers, but you still want your more polished players to, at the very least, be able to back him up, right? And especially if Daniel Brunskill ends up winning the center job, then at right guard, you have a rookie and then you fall off a cliff, right? Because you haven't had McKivitz and more rep there during training camp. So even if Burford is the favorite to start at right guard right now, and it's probably still too early to say anything definitive, you still need to work on the depth behind him. And signing Jordan Mills to be able to take some tackle snaps during camp will allow the 49ers to work McKivitz and work Jalen Moore in at right guard. All right, let me ask Mike. Mike, where are we at with subs right now? Because that's the number 17 right to the right of me, right? And we were at like 16,900 when I started this show. So I'm hoping that we're going to be at 17,000 right now. And if we're not at 17,000, I hope that you hit that subscribe button right now to get us over 17K. I don't have a live counter, so I'm waiting on Mike. I'm relying on Mike to let me know where we're at, and maybe he could put it in the comment section. That'd be five until 17K. All right, so it's 5 subs until 17K. We will be refreshing. We're Trey Lance away from 17,000. And as you can see, there is the number 17 right by me. So I'll talk a little bit more. Subscribe not only to this channel, but subscribe to The Athletic. I'm going to go through a couple of articles from this week. Sub to this channel, obviously. And then I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Lombardi himself. So both of those spots. Instagram, Lombardi himself. Twitter, Lombardi himself. And let's get to 17,000. Just because the jersey right there, 17. It's the lucky number for my family. So that's why it says that on the jersey. It's not a Billy Kilmer jersey. Maybe one day I will show you the back of the jersey. In fact, okay, here's my deal. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl this year, then I will flip around that jersey and show you the name on the back. Up until now, it's a mystery name. Nobody knows what it is. But I think you'll like it. We got to wait, though. The deal is if the 49ers win the Super Bowl. Okay, I want to pop open some of the work from this week. I'll go ahead and do that. We did it. 17K. Hell yeah. 5. That was cool. Thanks, guys. You guys hit the sub button there really quickly. So that's awesome. Thank you. 17,000. This has been, this channel's only been around for a year. And I didn't really start taking it seriously until probably midway through the season. Yeah, I mean, it's a way to promote our stuff on The Athletic first and foremost, and just connect with you, the fans. So I really, really thank everybody. And in less than a year, essentially, we have built from 0 to 17,000. So thank you, Mike, for keeping track of that, for all the awesome thumbnails. Follow along everywhere, obviously. Everybody seems to be happy about it. And, some good longtime viewers are here as well. So thank you. This belongs to everybody. It's neat just to see the community grow. So 17,000, it says on the jersey right there as we move forward. Anyway, as far as this goes, check this out. You want to subscribe to The Athletic as well. This is some of my work from this week. You could get a board for $1 a month. And all you have to do is go to this link right here. You can go to all my pieces up on The Athletic. So it's theathletic.com/author/David Lombardi with a hyphen in between the name. And this week was so much fun because I got to, yesterday I got to write about Trey Lance and Deebo Samuel and the offense strikes back, but you go, before then, I got a one-on-one with Darquez Denard, and this is the kind of stuff that we get to write about. We go in depth in ways I feel that other outlets just don't have the capacity to. Darquez Denard and his 18 snaps after he was on the couch 5 days earlier against the Rams in crunch time. Hell of a story, right? So talking to Darquez was awesome because he's now the favorite to start at nickelback for the 49ers. Talked about the college vibe they have on the team. Really neat stuff. And then this one was good too. This is 49ers assistance on Trey Lance's progress. Javon Kinlaw's return. Chris Kasarik talking about Javon Kinlaw was awesome. Fred Warner's fire. Some good stuff on Ty Davis Price in there from Anthony Lynn. That's from me and Matt Barrows. So make sure you check that one out as well. And then, this week has been so wild because we've gotten every single part of this operation has been covered, right? We got the assistant coaches talking, as I just mentioned. We have Trey Lance throwing a practice. But then we had a Deebo Samuel contract breakdown, and that was a lot of fun. See, just $1 a month. You got to subscribe right now. I can't. I need to log in, so I'll do that in a little bit. But anyway, you guys get the point. $1 a month for the Athletic, and you can check out that Deebo Samuel contract breakdown. I have a video about it as well, probably like 3 videos about it. More in depth with that than anything because it was so fascinating with the incentives, with the fact that it was the same agent for AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. Each guy held a different lead as far as different categories went. So AJ Brown was at the top of the average per year. DK Metcalf was at the top of the total guarantees, but Deebo Samuel led where it mattered most, fully guaranteed money, $41 million for the 49ers. So much has fallen into place for the 49ers, and now they're just looking for a destination for Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe I should talk about that for a little while. Jimmy Garoppolo is still out there. It's just a bizarre training camp in a way because Jimmy's out there throwing off on one of the other fields. The other day he's actually throwing during warmups or stretches on the main practice field while, he's not doing, what the rest of the players are doing at practice. He's doing his thing, getting his arm in shape, doing whatever he needs to while, that's the past for the 49ers, while you have the present in Trey Lance and, some of these rookies who Garoppolo has never played with working out on the field. Everybody's getting along. Like after practice the other day, I think it was Jimmy and Justin School and one other offensive lineman. I forgot who it was. You're just joking around, walking off the field. So Jimmy Garoppolo's still around. The team still loves him. It's just you didn't expect him to be around at the end of last season because that surgery obviously was unexpected, but he needed it. It made him untradeable for the time being. And now, the musical chairs kind of stopped and he was there without a seat. Now they may pick up again because this whole Watson situation with the NFL and the Browns is fascinating. Somebody might decide that they don't want, somebody being the Pittsburgh Steelers, that they don't want Mitch Trubisky going 0 for 16 or whatever it is in a certain drill in practice. So the musical chairs might pick back up and deadline pressure will be looming in about 24 days, right? On August 30th, the 49ers will have to cut down their 53-man roster. And at that point, if Garoppolo were to make the 53-man roster, the 49ers would owe him his entire salary this season. So that's probably not something that they want to do. So we assume that's going to be the deadline, and they'll see if they could manufacture a trade before then. All right. So today went through a ton of stuff. We're blasting past the 17,000 marker. So glad that 17 jersey is up there. All right. Come to Charlotte with this foolishness. Just reading through some of these. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Going through all these. I'm probably not going to put way too many up there. Although Mike said Lombardi Party. That's pretty fun. Thanks for subbing. You guys are awesome. It's been a good day. Tomorrow we'll be back out on the practice field. I know that those instant reactions have been popular. All the athletic articles have been doing really well too. I think it's going to be an awesome, awesome season for the 49ers. So I'm going to go on a bike ride today, up here near Crystal Springs, and it's already 3:22 p.m. So I'm gonna have to go pretty soon. I'm gonna get some sun. I deserve it. Training camp is just a grind. You're out there every single day. So I appreciate everybody for joining. Hopefully you like the show. I see that we have a ton of viewers on. That's Awesome. Let's keep it up, guys. Tomorrow is another day. And hey, if you want me to, maybe I come on tonight as well, Saturday night, talking some football. I'm just, I decided to just lock myself in the room basically through August. My fiance probably not very happy about it. She's doing some kind of horse competition this weekend, so it's all good. She's in Knoxville, Tennessee, riding her horse over there. So good luck to her. But August is for football. So we're going to focus on football in August. And I'm really, really honored that you guys are along for the ride. All right, everybody take care. Follow along on all those social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, Lombardi himself. Get up on the Athletic. It's $1 a month right now. Everybody take care. 49ers camp rolls on. Bye now.